the ring, the size and cost matter? Should the cost of a woman's engagement ring be contingent upon the amount of money that a man makes? Or should you just be happy with the fact that this guy wants to give you a ring, period? I mean, what if it's a $200 ring? What if it's a $2 million ring? How does that change anything? What does that mean? What does that do? What do I get for this expensive ring that I'm about to purchase? Do I get more of a wife if I buy a more expensive ring? Or do I get the same wife regardless of the cost of the ring? That's today's question on the Mars Mindset. So we got a few people in the room. So let's bring somebody in and let's have this conversation about the rings and rather size and cost and carats and social status matters. Dr. Hawk, what's good? How you feeling?
I'm good. How you?
I'm good. So Dr. Hawk, let me ask you this. You have two sons, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hypothetically, if one of your sons, who they're both in like their mid-20s, right?
Early 20s, mid-20s, yeah.
All right, so one of your sons, okay, pick one of your, which one of your, think of the son who makes the most money, right? And let's say he makes, just to make the math easy, let's say he makes $100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And the rule that I have heard is that a guy is supposed to spend 3 months' salary on the engagement ring. Okay? But this is what your son does. Your son, he's like me. He don't subscribe to that because he's about his paper. He put his life on the line. He ain't playing no games, okay? But he do love him. You know what I'm saying? He want to be with him. And he buys her a ring. If he makes $100,000, by rule, he's supposed to spend $25,000 plus or minus. But he decides, you know what? Nope. I'm going to K. I'm gonna get this $1,500 ring, and I'm gonna propose to her. And then he proposes to her. And she says, well, I really wouldn't mind marrying you. And I think, I'm in love with you and all of that. But this ring right here, this ain't going to cut it. And then he comes to you and he said, hey, Mom, this will happen. What's your response to that?
First of all, I want him to really think about where the value of the relationship is. Is it in the cost of the ring? Or where do you think she's placing it? And he has to have a conversation with her. Now, it's one thing because sometimes some couples have the conversation beforehand.
Okay.
When that was about to happen. But if they didn't, she needs to accept what it is. Now, if she's adamant on it being a certain size, you need to reevaluate the relationship.
I like the way you think, Dr. Hawk. That's why we good friends.
That's just me.
I agree, because I saw this reel, and the lady was saying that if the ring ain't, I guess, the right size of the carats or the cost, then it's a lot of women out here that aren't accepting the proposal. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really sound that fair to me. Now, I played around with a couple hypotheticals in my mind, and I'm trying to figure this thing I'm really trying to figure out, right? If you have a guy who's, say, like a multi-millionaire, right? Is it fair for a woman to expect him to spend more on a ring than a guy who makes, say, $65,000 or say $100,000 a year? Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. So it's fair for the woman to expect the guy with a bunch of money to spend more on the ring.
Yeah, I think in your mind, if you know he has.
Uh-oh, Dr. Hawk, you stuck? Oh, Dr. Hawk, you stuck. Dr. Hawk, come back to the principal's office.
All right. Am I stuck?
Yeah, you were stuck, but you back now. I covered it up for you. It's okay.
All right. So, I think that if you know your man makes a certain amount of money and you know what the lifestyle is, I think the woman is going to expect it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen though, but I think that it's fair for a woman to expect. If I know what you bringing in and even what you spend on yourself and what I'm putting into the relationship, I think that the expectation would be there for the woman. They do expect, okay. We do expect, but again, it may not happen. Now, okay. If you turn it down.
Say the last part again.
I'm saying now, if she turns it down, if it's not what she expected, again, she's putting the value in how much money that man's make and not the love or what's in a relationship.
Okay, so I tell you, so if he is someone who spends frivolously on himself, then I feel that it is fair, at least fair, for her to expect him to spend frivolously on a ring for her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If he's not frivolously spending, even though he has a bunch of money, then she can expect whatever she wants, but she knows what type of guy this is. Maybe that's why he has a bunch of money, because he doesn't buy $150,000 Porsche Cayennes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we have that. Now, my issue with the ideology, and this just is my masculine brain thinking about this. I think that if he's got a bunch of money, he should be able to buy the same ring that the guy who doesn't have a bunch of money buys.
He can, but it's about the woman's expectation. He can be able to, but again, it's if I'm a woman in a relationship, I would think my expectation would be this. It doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be, because sometimes our expectations are different than what things are. Because you don't have control over what he's going to buy, but I would expect him to. But so, the guy that makes the same amount of money, I think he can. It's his option.
Okay, so this is the way I was looking at it. If we're talking about one woman, we're not talking about anybody having the option of different women, right? We have this one woman, and she's going to be this guy's wife. And if he's a multimillionaire or he's Charles, he's getting the same wife regardless of what ring he buys, right? Like, women don't go into this thing thinking, ooh, girl, well, I know he's going to get me a really big ring for a bunch of money, so I'm going to do all my wifely duties even better. The $50,000 a year guy get the same wife as the millionaire guy. So if I'm a millionaire guy and I'm financial minded and I'm not frivolous, right, I'm going to say to myself, well, that's like me going to like the car dealership, and because the car salesman knows that I got a bunch of money, he want to charge me more for the same product that he gonna charge the other guy. You see what I'm saying? And that don't sound fair to me.
Right. But at that time, by that time, no, if you're in a relationship long enough to say you're ready to pop the question, you should know as a woman if that man is tight or not, regardless of, regardless of how much money he has.
Okay, yeah, that's true. So should there be a floor on the cost or size of a ring? Like, cause like let's say you're a guy and you work real hard but you don't make a lot of money. Should there be like a baseline level of ring that every guy should have to at least be able to afford? Because I'm working through this in my mind. In my mind, I can see why a woman would say, well, if you can't afford this $500 ring, then how we gonna work together on this thing?
But a ring is, it's like, I've seen couples where the ring came later, after the actual marriage, and so it depends on where you guys are. Hey, Julie.
Hi.
You look so
pretty. Thank you.
Julie Bean.
Listen.
Hold on, Julie Bean. I get to say Julie Bean first. I get to greet everybody come on my show. Julie Bean, what's good?
How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing? You just want to rush in and talk to Dr. Hawk. Don't talk to Dr. Hawk. I'll be here when y'all done.
I am good. I cannot complain. I woke up today and I'm getting ready to dance. So
All right. So, oh, Dr. Hawk, real quick. Even if you gotta leave, remember this for me. Chanel said the minimum amount for a ring should be 10,000.
Okay, Chanel.
Yeah,
It's Chanel.
yeah, okay. Julie Bain,
Yeah.
does ring size, carat, or cost matter to you?
To me personally, no.
Do you think it matters to a significant amount of women?
Yes, I do. Um,
Go ahead.
I think that whether you are the billionaire or the $50,000 a year salary guy, you need the way I think is people should live within their means, and if this is the person that you are going to live life with, they should understand that as well. Like, if we shop at Dollar Tree for groceries, nothing wrong with Dollar Tree, I'm just using an example, okay? Then you shouldn't expect a $10,000 wedding ring, because you gotta, live within your means. If your lifestyle is Paris trips and, yacht parties and all of that regularly, then I think that's a little different, and maybe the expectations will be different.
Mm.
But I wouldn't want my soon to be husband to kill himself to buy me a piece of metal, and then we gotta work it off for however long. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But
Okay.
you should know like what to expect. Like, if he's tight with his money, why would you expect for him to go crazy on a ring?
Okay. So you and Dr. Hawk are pretty much on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
If let's just say, I don't know, Dr. Hawk's son is uh somebody that you know. You're his cousin, and he comes to you and he says, "Well, I make $100,000 a year, and I think she was expecting something in the range of 10,000, like Miss Chanel, who's always in the comments but will never come on the live. But I got $1,000 ring. Now I really love her. You know what I'm saying? I want to be there for her. I'm gonna do all the things that a good husband does. I'm gonna protect. I'm gonna provide. I'm gonna be there when she's sick, through sickness and in health, and all of these good things that husbands do. But she told me she would marry me, but she said that the ring, it ain't cutting. It's not, it's not doing it for me. What would your advice to Dr. Hawk's son be?
To reconsider, because here's the thing, right? If if something as the ring is important, I understand that, but what about if something a bigger situation occurs over time, and this is the person that you're spending your life with? So if her mindset is that limited, I don't want to imagine how she will process a big situation, like, God forbid, a health risk, or uh, making a decision about putting kids in a certain school. Like, I just think about it like that. Like, the ring to me is not a big deal, but I wonder how she will process everything else that is to come.
Okay, I got you. I agree. Dr. Hawk, you getting ready to say something?
I was going to say I would tell him to ask her how much she put, if she want a certain kind of ring, how much she put up for her ring to balance. If that's
Mm.
what you want, and I'm saying, how much you willing to put up to upgrade that ring?
I like the way both of y'all think. Now, hold on. Lil said she can join Chanel at the singles table as well. My advice to Dr. Hawkson. So Chanel said, would you be embarrassed if you had to wear a ring that looked cheap? Okay, now, that's not a good question to ask a hardworking, blue collar man who technically, not that it's any of y'all's business, but I've been doing what I've been doing long enough to be in the low six figures range, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a man who goes to work every day and works really hard and provides for his family and all of those things, to be honest, I don't care what my ring looks like because the ring is not the marriage.
Right.
So, and to be fair, men don't sit around and begin talking with their hands once they get married. Men aren't so much interested in what other people are going to think. There's not a competition between myself and Dr. E and Sam and Tyrell over who has the most expensive, extravagant wedding band.
Right.
So for us, it's different. I think for women, there's a significant aspect of the ring is what the public's going to think.
Right. And that's what Chanel said. Would you be embarrassed if you, because, and that's the thing. Why in your marriage, why are you worried about what the public would think over a piece of metal that really is not representative or indicative of what the marriage is? So.
You about to say something, Julie?
No, I was agreeing. Like it's just a decorative item because, like, for example, Dr. Hawk, when you take off your ring, you still married. You're still married, right? So it's literally a decorative. Because are you going to behave differently when you don't have your ring on in public?
Right. And listen, you said your ex gave you a 10K ring, but he's your ex. So did the ring matter?
That's a good point, Dr. Hawk. And I think that, well, one thing that I think I almost know is that the ring hasn't always been important. I think some really smart business guy with a really dope marketing strategy came along and said, yo, you know what we should tell everybody? That diamonds are a girl's best friend. And since I have all the diamonds, they come to me and my friends. And now everybody who gets married, because at that point you capitalize on one of the main necessities of life, which is companionship, right? Outside of the bare necessities, food, air, water, and shelter, the very next thing is like companionship. So now you capitalize and you corner that market. So now every person, no matter how much money they make, they feel that social pressure to go out and spend money on a diamond for the purpose of confessing his love to this woman. And women are more so the consumers than men. So he's going to feel pressured because all the other guys are going to do it. So I got to come correct, right?
Yeah, and not putting the value and the work into the marriage, which really makes sense. So it's like I nod my head to those couples that'll go and get, even though it's permanent if they divorce, but they'll go and get matching tattoos or they'll get, things like that. And like I said, for me, and I said this before, like I'm probably on my 5th or 6th ring, and we don't got money to waste like that. I'm in a school. I've worked in a school where we had like an emotional support school where I looked down at my hand and the prongs and the stone and everything was gone, like that kind of stuff. So listen.
Yeah, and I don't. I think you just have to know your partner because yes, it's like she said, it's like a symbol of their love or whatever. But I don't wear jewelry often because I lose my jewelry all the time. So I'm like, don't waste your money on it because it's gonna be lost somewhere. But that's
okay.
So why would I want to put that kind of pressure on that person if I know myself? Like whether I have a ring on or not, if I'm married, I'm married. So that's just what I think. And I don't think it's in the same category as a house or a car. Absolutely not.
But again, it's not the same category as a house or a car. But again, a house, if it's a mansion without the love in it, it's not a home. So it's not you're putting the value on the material piece or portion of it. So it's not really a true indication of love. Like of, you know, how much your partner loves you because of the size of the ring.
Okay, so I thought about you when I came across this topic. I thought about you, Dr. Hulk. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I told my wife, I said Dr. Hulk could come on the show and be like, "Chels, you talking about buying $150,000 car? So ain't nowhere in the world you gonna go get a cheap ring, right?" And I said, then I thought more about that. I do these thought games with myself, right? And I said, well, if Dr. Hulk makes that argument, that is a decent argument. However, it's not the same because see, I would be buying the Porsche for. I mean, I would be buying the Porsche for myself. So in theory, I should be able to buy whatever I want to buy with my money, right? Just in theory. But for someone else to dictate how much I must spend on a gift, that's a whole nother can of worms that we open in here. Now, I want y'all to hold on one second because Chanel's asking to come in, and we haven't had Chanel come on in 4 months. So we have to let her in and let her say her piece. So let's see what she has. Let's see what Chanel has. Because Chanel says that 10K is the baseline. So if you can't afford a $10,000 ring, you don't need to be getting married. What's up, Chanel? Are we saying your name right?
Chanel.
Chanel, I apologize. See, listen, hold up before you go. I apologize, Miss Chanel. I've been calling you Miss Chanel for 4 months. So please accept my apology. Welcome to the Mars Mindset. Dr. Hulk, well, on my screen, Dr. Hulk is above you, and Julie's to your this side, whichever that is on the camera. So Chanel, what 10,000 is the baseline for a ring?
That's the baseline because we have to set expectations and standards. Okay, how we're moving forward in the marriage. When you set low expectations, that's what you're going to get moving forward in the marriage.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You're saying we're setting expectations, but let me ask you this. Are you going to be the same wife that you would be to the guy who spends, say, 10K on the ring, as opposed to the guy who spends, say, 100K on the ring?
No.
So your wifely contribution to the marriage is contingent upon the cost of the ring.
It's called reciprocation. Okay.
Okay, so what does the 100K ring getter get that the 10K ring getter doesn't?
Okay, I'm gonna give you an analogy. Let's say my man paid for, the mortgage or the rent, right? Then he expect me to do have more expectations of what I do around the house, cook, clean, things like that. If he's not paying all the bills, then he's gonna have less expectations. Would you agree, or you're not gonna agree?
I don't particularly agree, but I'm open to your interpretation.
Okay, so that goes along with the ring. The more money he's spending, I guess it depends on if that's his love language and how I respond to that. I'm gonna see he's giving a lot of effort, so I'm gonna do more. That's it.
Oh.
That's at work. That's in games. Everything.
Dr. Hawk, you about to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. Now you said your ex paid $10,000. Your ex. Now, how long did you guys stay married?
I can't say. Okay. I'm gonna come out. We are still married. But yes, he paid 10K. But and when Chels was talking before, because this is my second marriage. In my first marriage, I was in the military, and my spouse was in the military too. He gave me what he could afford, which was a small ring. And so one day it was an officer who came up, and she said, "Girl, let me see your ring." She said, "Oh no. You need to have him get you another ring," because it was one of those little diamonds that looked like dust and could nobody see, what they call a dust diamonds. And so at the time, I was not offended, but I went back to him and I said, "Can you get me another ring?" He got me another ring. You got to ask for what you want.
Okay. Dr. Hawk, you have something to that?
Again, they're not married anymore.
Years. That was 12 years. My first marriage was 12 years. Mm-hmm. So I think he bought me 2 rings, but you have to ask for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm fine with the idea that you have to ask.
Yeah.
Right, I'm okay with that. I want Mr. Tom to get a Porsche. I will advocate for that every day. Porsche gonna become a sponsor on my show by the time I get done with this thing, and then I'm gonna buy Dr. Hawk and Mr. Tom a Porsche, and we're gonna all have a shindig together, Porsche shindig. However, let me ask you this: the first guy, you talking about your first husband, right? They bought the little ring, right?
He got the little ring, but then he came back when I asked him for an upgrade. Because it wasn't for that officer to come and look at my hand. And she said, girl, you better ask for another ring. And I asked for it.
Go ahead, Julie.
So up until someone else mentioned the ring that you had on,
I was clueless. But now I know.
No, you weren't clueless. You were fine. You were.
But that's what I'm telling you. It is about status. It's also other elements within the environment. This woman has to wear that ring every day of her life. And I'm sure we got shoes and stuff. Men wear shoes that's $500 something on their feet. Why should a woman have a $500 ring that she has to wear every single day?
Dr. Hawk, you look like you're ready.
Because again, that's for him. Like Chell said, that's for him. And to dictate to someone's a gift that they're giving you, I just get a sense of not being appreciative.
Oh, I was very appreciative.
And
he was
not valuing the sanctity of the marriage, because you're attaching that sanctity of a marriage, to something that you can lose today or tomorrow can go down the drain. So if it drops down the drain, you're saying that, you're not attached to it. So
I'm sure ring too.
Hold on, Chanel. Start over, because the beginning of your audio got cut off, and I want to make sure it's in there. What did you say?
Oh, I said he made me put insurance on that ring too. So, I mean, with everything, I think a ring is the same thing as a car or a house. It's a significant purchase.
Okay, I'm going to give you some pushback on it being the same as a house or a car, because both of those things have actual functional purposes in the world, right? A car at this point is a necessity in a lot of places. It means it's what allows you to continue to move about in the world, to survive, to get food, to go to work, to make the money that I need to survive. A house is shelter. Now, of course, we could get into the conversation as to whether or not what size the house should be. But as Dr. Hawk was saying, it doesn't really matter what size the house is if it isn't a home. Julie made this point earlier, which is that the ring is really just for show. It doesn't do anything. It's a depreciating asset. And the question that I really wanted to ask you was, the first husband, as a husband, I understand you guys aren't together now, so not through the vision of y'all aren't together. But when you guys were married, was he a husband?
What? Say that again. You broke up.
When you guys were married, the first husband, I know y'all are divorced now, but I mean, thinking back in the moment, was he a good husband?
Yes. And he's a good too. So.
Okay, so we have a guy who's a good husband, so that means he protects, he provides, he does what he can in terms of the bills, he takes care of you when you're sick, he does all the things that a husband should do, and on top of that, he's a good father. But the ring that he bought that represents the fact that you guys are together and he's this good person to you wasn't enough. But it wasn't enough until some other person came along and told that it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound, that just doesn't sit right with my spirit, Chanel.
It sit right with mine, because sometimes it takes other people to tell you your value, to say, hey girl, go back and get that ring, or go back, maybe you don't know your worth. So I
wouldn't put my worth on a piece of metal.
We here.
What would you put your worth on? Do you put it on
the value of my life, quality of my life?
Yes, I agree. But the quality, what other things come with the quality of your life? How you dress, how you do your hair, shoes, your hair.
Hold on, Julie, hold on. Let her finish.
My friend was asking me a question. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Every woman have to decide, what's the quality of their life? What does that look like? So all I'm saying is you have to set a standard. Don't settle for the smaller ring. Maybe he has a budget, but if his intention is to be the headship, to be the leader, to marry you, then that comes with some responsibilities too, like saving. Is it okay to just come, just say, here, take this ring? No, you can't take any kind of way and tell me to take any kind of ring, because he should have asked what kind of ring.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I disagree, but my mindset is different. Like, I would like him to ask me, but I would also take into account the lifestyle. If she's used to lifestyle, then I would totally agree with her. But I'm not used to making changes in my life based on what people are telling me or their opinion. Like, I got to feel good about whatever it is that the choice is that is being made. And let's say he's not a 6-figure, person. I chose him, right? So if I choose that person, it comes with a cap. I don't want to go into debt over a ring. Like, I wouldn't do that. I would prefer, actually, let's buy a bigger house, or let's invest and make more money. And then maybe later on, if you want to splurge a little bit, then go ahead, buy me a bigger ring. But the ring is going to be in the same spot, whether it's a small one or a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 out of 10 times, it's not going to be on my hand. That's why I'm like, whatever.
I have a question. Dr. Hawk, you about to say something?
Yeah, and I was going to question too. Now, you said know your worth and you put your value into the size of the ring, but it makes me question, did you really put or ground your value in the size of a ring, or did you put your value into what someone else thought?
Well, that was the first time, because I was young. I think I was around late 20s. I'm 45 now. So when an older woman came to me and said, okay, because we were making the money, he could afford a better ring. People do what they want to do when it comes to what they want to buy and what they don't want to buy. Sometimes it just requires you to ask for what you want. So I appreciate it. And the next time I seen her, I said, hey, girl, and I put my hand out and show her the new ring. But, my current husband, when I told him what I wanted with my ring, he came back and said, well, this is what I want from my ring. And I got him what he wants, because I believe that you should get people what they said they want.
Okay, let me ask you this, because this is something that I think a lot of women have never really pondered, right? Men have to put themselves out there to find out if this woman will marry me. So let's play a little bit of role reversal, right? I just want you to imagine Chanel, have you ever bought a man a car?
No.
Okay.
They always buy cars.
Say again?
They always purchase cars for me.
Right, because you tell them what you want and they capitulate.
Or sometimes you know what I mean.
Hold on. Dr. Hope got the motorcycle crew going by. All right, what you say, man?
When your partner knows what you like sometimes, and I like the surprises. So
Okay, that's cool. So, but imagine if you bought your husband a. Can I ask you what kind of car you drive?
I got 2 BMWs.
Okay. So you live a BMW lifestyle when it comes to cars. Cool. Imagine how it would feel if you came home with a brand new BMW for your husband or your guy one day. And he drives it around for 3 or 4 months. And he really likes it and it's nice and everything's cool and y'all are doing the husband and wife thing. And then he says, I talked to Chels. Chels down at the job. And Chels has a Ferrari. So I feel like instead of this Mercedes, you should have bought me you should upgrade me to a Ferrari. What's your thoughts on that?
What you gonna do for me?
Nah, I ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna keep the same husband that I have been, the same way you was the same wife you was, whether he had the ring or the big ring, and I want a Ferrari. That's my point. You changing it up now to the shoe. That's not fashion, Neil. You're not playing with a full deck pen.
I'm saying because he liked it when I got it for him. So
and you like the ring when I got it for you.
My rule on this is always do what you can afford to do. So if I have the money to make him happy, I want a man that I'm gonna make that I can be happy and he can make me happy. So if he want that, I'm gonna do what he want.
You gonna go get the Ferrari.
Cause he for me.
But you want to ask questions first. Aren't you gonna feel? You got something, Dr. Hawk? Oh, Dr. Hawk just backing up. Okay. Aren't you gonna feel a little? What's the word I'm looking for, Julie? You're gonna feel a little
offended
at the fact I went to work every day. I still came home and did all my wifely duties and raised the kids and all of this and all of that. And at first you was happy with your C-Class Benz. And now you coming up in here telling me you want a Ferrari. Yeah. Not because I just happen to want one, but because Charles down at the job said he got a Ferrari.
Explain to me why I should have the Ferrari. I mean, I think that people change their mind and they're entitled to change their mind. So I'm okay with it. Because I'm going to change my mind when I want the 20K ring.
Okay, so one more question and then I'll let you slide off. And I genuinely appreciate you coming on because we always pick on you about being in the comments.
Yes, I had to show my face. I said, he ain't going to be talking to Charles. Ain't going to be talking about me today. So.
I can't call you out for the next month or so. So I give you, your just due. Let me ask you this. Is there, because there's a minimum amount of money that you feel is appropriate to spend on a ring, is there a minimum amount of money that's appropriate for a guy to make in order to get your attention or your hand in marriage?
I mean, it is a standard. I have to be fair with saying that. So if a person is used to a certain standard, he has to meet that standard. Whatever.
Okay. What's your standard?
I can't say what my standard is. I have to say.
She got 2 BMW. What are you talking? Why are you asking her that?
I mean, I know people that got 2 BMWs and they're in a shit ton of debt too. So that don't necessarily mean they make a bunch of money. You know, I'm just wondering because typically, and we all know, like, you can make a bunch of money and be in a bunch of debt. But go ahead, Julie.
Making a bunch of money and having a standard are 2 different things. Because I know plenty of broke people that have a standard and they don't care that they're in debt because they need to keep up the appearance.
Okay, so are you telling me that it doesn't matter how much money that a man makes? And I know this ain't for you, Julie, because we've had our conversation. But in general, you're saying it's not about how much money a man makes. It's about the lifestyle that he can provide.
Hello. That's what
okay. What if he provides a life? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Go ahead, because I just, the way the audio works, it cuts in and cuts out, and I want to make sure everybody gets heard. So go ahead and say what you were going to say.
Well, when I'm talking about lifestyles, if I'm used to going on trips every couple of months, then he has to be able to also engage in that type of lifestyle. If I'm driving a certain type of car, he has to be able to, drive the same type of car. I don't want my man having problems with his car and things like that. He has to be able to afford the mortgage. Lifestyle. Don't be asking me to do crazy stuff,
Okay, so one more question before you go, because I'm still unclear on this. He can meet the standard. You have a guy who can meet the standards that you've set forth. What is he getting? Matter of fact, let's do it like this. What did your first husband get after the second ring that he wasn't getting after the first ring? What did he get for his money?
The wife he wanted.
Okay, what wife was he getting before?
I mean, he had to ask for it. I mean, shoot. What do you call it? He was just one of those type of people who spent. What do you call those type of people who like to spend money on nice things? He does that with his children too. So I'm not asking him to do nothing that his children. And he has 4. We have 3 children together. They're all girls, and he spoiled them right. So you can't spoil the children without spoiling the wife.
That's a fair point. I don't necessarily give you pushback on that. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is if.
Well, let me interject right quick.
Okay.
In the military, he deployed a lot. He deployed to Afghanistan. He deployed to Iraq, all the time. And so who do you think was taking care of his children or our children? It was me. And he made sure I was happy.
I understand that. I'm not giving you any pushback on that, right? I'm not even questioning the quality of wife that you were or are as a person, just in general. What I'm trying to figure out is, if I can get you a ring that is $100,000 and another guy can get you a ring that's $1,000, what do I get for my $100,000 that the other guy doesn't get? Because if you're a good wife, I would assume you're a good wife regardless of the cost of the ring. If you're a good mother, you're a good mother outside of the cost of the ring. So what benefit do I have to paying an excessive amount of money for a ring when the product that I get is the same as the guy who paid 100% less?
It's excessive because you said it was excessive. It's not necessarily excessive because he said it was excessive.
Not answering the question though. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's do it. I walk into, let's say you are.
Pause for a minute. Pause. Because I said you were correct in saying if you're a good wife, you're a good wife. But if you have a good wife, don't you want to get her nice things? Not for her to do more. She's a good wife.
No, yes. I want to get her nice things because she's my wife and I want to get her nice things. But that's not what we're talking about here. But from my interpretation of what you're saying is that because I'm a multimillionaire and I walk into the Ford dealership and I want a Ford Mustang, simply because I make more money, I should pay more for the Ford Mustang than Julie, who makes $100,000 a year, and that's not fair. So what I'm trying to figure out is, and you said it right. You said he'll get better wifely duties or whatever the case may be. You didn't use those words, right? That's just how what is he getting? What is he getting?
I'm going to be more excited to do some things. I'm going to be less reluctant to do what he asked me to do. It's like that, you know? If your wife was paying for your bills, wouldn't you be happy? Well, won't you do more?
No, I wouldn't. I don't look to my wife to pay my bills, and I wouldn't want my wife to be better based upon the ring that I bought her. I would want her to be better based on the fact that she's my wife and that's what she wants to do, and that's what makes our relationship grow and better and progressive and all of those things. Go ahead, Julie.
So I have a question.
Okay.
You got the $20,000 ring. You got the Porsche, whatever it was. You got it all, right? And you got the great husband. He loses his job. Now money's tight. Are you going to be the mean wife now?
I'm going to have some compassion for his circumstance. But he knows he got a timeline.
Oh, so let me ask you this. I got a question for you. Do you believe it's possible to love someone else that's not your kids unconditionally?
I do. I definitely do. I mean, that happens all the time when you have stepchildren and things like that. You have to invest in them unconditionally.
Oh, wow. This is amazing to me. Dr. Hawk, you got anything?
No, it's just that I'm sitting and I'm like, thank you for speaking your truth, but it just lets you realize that when it comes to, and it's just people in general, we put value in different things, and we can't knock others for what they put value in or what they expect. Your expectations are your expectations. But it just, puts me in a mind because I'm different. Like Julie said, my mindset is different. Because I don't expect certain things from my husband, but I think because I don't expect them, he does certain things and gives me certain things because I don't expect them, and he knows that I appreciate it, and it's not a thing that he has to do or I expect him to do. So
something I just thought about. I'm going to use Chanel's logic. If my wife is not conducting her wifely duties to my expectations, I should go to her and say, well, you didn't meet my expectations this last quarter. Here's half the electricity bills. you now have to pay half of them because you didn't meet my expectations. Right? Isn't that the same? Isn't that saying the same thing?
It is. I mean, at the end of the day, we are all separate people. You're a separate person from your wife. You have certain expectations as standards that you want in your life and how you want to live. If she's not meeting a certain standard, then you're going to have a conversation. Hey, can you step up, or can you do this? You should always express what your expectations are. Now she has the right to say I disagree, or I agree, or I don't agree, right? But don't you want to live the life that you want to live?
Then I want to live the life that I want to live, and I don't give pushback on Coach Jay would say having the conversation. Where I think I draw an issue is the idea that the effort with which I'm going to put into my marriage is contingent upon some material thing, right? Like my wife, hold on, my wife. People do it, and maybe that's why 50% of marriages end in divorce. My point is that I'm not a good husband day in and day out because my wife is providing me with some material thing. I'm a good husband because, one, my daddy raised me to be one, so it really doesn't matter who I was married to. I'd still be a good husband and pursue the best possible version of myself as a husband, regardless of whether or not my wife is keeping up her end of the deal. Now, I understand what you're saying. You're saying if you want something, then it shouldn't be a problem with asking for it. Where I draw the issue with what you're saying is that it's almost like you're saying, I'm going to withhold my effort in this marriage until I get this material thing that I want. And that in itself, in my opinion, is a problem.
Well, I'm not just limiting it to materialistic things, but things like you ask your partner to do, like, can you get me this lunch? So I'm just limiting it to, or I'm categorizing it as reciprocation, not just materialistic things. But if I see, let's say if your wife was a stay-at-home wife, and because you work, and then you come home, hold on.
Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
She doesn't.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on. You're breaking up. This is important. Start over.
Okay. I said, let's say your wife was a stay-at-home wife, and you work, you have your job. There are some expectations that you. I'm sorry. I have a couple calls coming in. There are some expectations that you would ask her to do. Take care of the kids, get them dressed in the morning, pick them up from school or the bus stop. And if she's not meeting those standards, you're going to be a little bit upset, correct?
Yeah, but what I'm not going to do is stop paying the bills because she's not doing those things.
Okay, but you might do something else. Like you might give her the cold shoulder. You may not take her out on a date.
No, I don't really think so, right? I mean, no, like you said, we're gonna have a conversation about it, right?
And what if there's no change in the behavior?
If there's no, then either I have to make a choice to continue to do what I do and be in the marriage, or exit the marriage, right? But what I'm saying is that assuming that we're going to continue to be together, and my duties have been set forth at the beginning, I'm going to continue to do what it is that I'm supposed to do as a husband, because that comes from within. That's a part of who I am. Who I am does not get minimized based on the way in which you conduct yourself, or you not giving me the thing that I want. So let's say that my wife isn't giving me intimacy to the degree that I want it. I'm not going to go to her and say, well, since I'm not getting the action the way I want to, we about to start splitting this mortgage. I'm not going to do that.
But you would start with smaller things, though.
No. Julie, am I lunching? Am I tripping? Or is
Listen, I am still stuck on this part. It wasn't up until someone mentioned the ring size that you said something. So you were okay with what you, and that's where I'm stuck. So I understand what's happening, but I'm stuck because I don't let someone else's opinion necessarily, direct what I'm going to do in my life.
I think there's a certain point where it's okay to be receptive of other people's feedback. It's okay. Like, if I'm not cleaning the bathroom right, here's some other solution to clean it and it'll help you out. Then you're going to accept that feedback. And he did not complain. He did not say, I'm not getting you no ring. He went and got that ring because he loved me. And he knew that's what I wanted.
Okay, let me, Dr. Hawk, you was about to say something. I want you to be able to go. Okay,
yeah. So I guess that, do you think it made him feel as though your love for him wouldn't be reciprocated or was contingent upon this thing? And do you think that was fair to him? Of course, he loves you, so he would do it. And are you hanging your love for him on a carrot in front of him? If you want my love, you have to do that. And if so, is that fair to your mate?
No, he did not feel that way because he was always a person who gave big, lavish gifts. Most of the men that I date, give big, lavish gifts. And so he did not have a problem. He just went and got the ring. So it was not, I don't know how you phrased it.
Okay, I got a question for you. And I hope it doesn't feel like we're picking on you. I really appreciate you letting us pick your brain on this. Did your love for him increase when he got the bigger ring?
No, it didn't change, but you want to innately inside you want to give your partner what they want. Just like my current husband, he tell me, go to this website and I want these $500 pair of shoes. That's what I'm going to give him. I'm not going to give him Stacey Adams that are $100. I'm going to give him what he wants.
Okay. That's
so
cool.
That's just my rule, Okay.
I do get that part. I do get that part as far as a gift. But the size of the ring is something different because, again, I'm choosing to do that because I know what my husband likes as opposed to I'm doing that because this is what he said I needed to do or what I have to do.
There comes consequences and advantages and disadvantages to every situation. Now, when I got the 10K ring, he asked me for I think I paid $8K for his ring. And so I can't, because I told him, I was very firm in saying, I want this type of ring because I'm the one who has to wear it. If I'm wearing it, no, you can't give me anything. So he said, well, this is the ring I want, and I paid for it.
Well, you guys were a great match from a material standpoint. Hey, Julie Bean. Julie Bean or Dr. Hawk or Chanel, one of y'all got to step off because I got to bring Coach J in here. So who?
Have a great evening, guys.
Appreciate you. So we had Chanel coming. We had a Chanel sighting. That is amazing. Let's bring Julie. You about to say something? We can't hear you. You muted. Julie, you muted.
I'm gonna start driving, so you know how that goes. I'm gonna be on though.
All right, that's cool. I'll slide you off too. Thanks. All right. Dr. Hawk, I need you to sit tight at least for a second. Let's get Coach J in here. And maybe Coach J can convince me that instead of the, I don't know, $1,500 ring that I bought my wife hundreds of years ago should now be upgraded to a minimum of Chanel standards of $10,000. Coach J! What's up, man? How you feeling?
This is interesting. Can you hear me? This is very interesting.
I hear you loud. I hear you loud and clear. So I guess I'll ask you the way I ask everybody else.
All right.
Does the cost, size, and carat of the ring matter? If so, why?
So if I go personally, I'll say it like this. It kind of goes with what the lady was saying before she got off. Take me, let me show you what it is that I like, and then you can find something in the vicinity of what I showed you, right? But when it comes down to anything can be upgraded. I just think to myself, if you really, really, really love this person, the person is going to do what they can to be able to show you that they do. Does that make sense? So on my side, if go ahead, Chelsea, what you got?
Nah, go ahead. I'm listening.
I'm saying, so it's not like if that's this is a hard question because at first I was listening to the response and I'm like, what in the world? But it is a challenging question because the person I'm with knows the caliber of woman that I am, and so and he knows how I am. So I see it as it matters, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It matters. It matters because you want to you want to be as a well. I'm gonna say it for myself. You want to kind of show off. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be like, okay, this is the ring that Bay got me. Blah blah blah. You want to show off, but at the same time it doesn't really matter because I know that he loves me. Does that make sense? It's not a he can do what he can do, and I'm okay with what he can do. Let me say it like that.
Okay, cool. Dr. Hawk, do you have something before I go?
No, I mean, no. It's. I'm still like Julie. I'm stuck on a couple of the things that were said. You know, in regards to that. But again, there's different things for different people. So she found someone. So it looks like she puts value in the ring or the material things. And you do have men out here who feel more like a man when they can provide those material things. So she found someone that was evenly yoked with her in that sense, I guess, so to say. But again, like Julie said, it wasn't until someone else said something that she realized, oh, I think I need better, or I deserve better, I guess, or I deserve not even better, because just because it's small don't mean it's bad, but I guess an upgrade, I would say.
Okay, all right. Hey, look, Dr. Hawk, I'm gonna let you slide off. Jump back on when you get home. I got 2 other people trying to get in here, and I gotta holler at Coach.
All right. Okay.
All right.
I will say this too. What she said earlier about treatment and how it's contingent upon how what did she say? She said something that kind of threw me for a loop. She said something in regards to I forget what she said because that's when I put it in the chat. Treatment shouldn't be conditional.
If we're thinking about the same thing, she was basically saying that the wifely quote unquote, I don't know, duties or services that she provides gets better based on the cost and the size of the ring. And I'm just like,
there it is.
That's
crazy.
Now,
sorry. That's to each his own, but that's I just think to myself is exactly what you said. That's why a lot of marriages fail, because what is the real purpose of getting married? And I think to myself, we get so caught up with the marriage and what we show other people. So when we finally get into it and we're behind closed doors, we got to really deal with the person, and we didn't even really know who the person was because we're so focused on the quote unquote ring size or the elaborate weddings. So
okay.
Yeah.
So what up, Unique? Give me 1 second, real quick. This is what I was gonna say in reference to what you were saying, Coach Jay, where you kind of saying like it matters, but it doesn't really matter. First of all, I appreciate you because I know that you are going to be honest and straightforward, right? And a lot of times, sometimes I ask questions because I genuinely want people's opinions, and sometimes I ask questions because I want someone to admit something about themselves, which is there's an aspect of me that's materialistic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Why it gotta be materialistic though, Chels? And I don't think.
Hold on, because it is what it is, right?
That's not what it is, though, honey.
Yes. Hold on, let me finish. I'm gonna let you talk. I'll let everybody come on my show.
She came in shooting.
I got Listen. So this is for Coach Jay, and then I'm gonna let you go, Unique. As a man, right? This is how I see it. If I'm willing to commit my life to you, right? My whole being, my desires for other women has to be fought off for the rest of my life. I have to go to work, and I'm an average man, so I have to go to work every day and put my life on the line to help provide for this this family. I'm going to be there when you're sick, right? I'm going to change diapers. I'm going to do all of these things that a good husband does. And what I am not, I'm talking about Chels. I can't speak for no other men. What I'm not going to let you do is quantify or minimize what me committing whole life to you to the cost, size, or carat of a ring. Unique, go.
Okay, I think that girl that was on before got y'all twisted. Like, I think the way she just explained that, it was off. Like, really off. Like, to me, I don't look at it like as a more of a materialistic thing. I look at it as I love you, and it's been years, and look, babe, the upgrade. What's wrong with that?
Okay, here's the issue. It's not simply about the upgrade, right? People upgrade things all the time. What she said was that her effort in the marriage would improve, it will increase or decrease based on the cost, size, or
that's why I said
of the ring.
It shouldn't even be said like that. It shouldn't even be said like that. That's stupid as hell.
But
that's stupid.
But that's the thing though. That's her. But I will say this too. I think a lot of us, a lot of people may think like that, but they think like that because they have been in positions where we think that they created this standard, but in actuality, they've been done wrong. And I'm not talking about her. I don't know what her testimony is, but they've been done wrong to the point where they now have a status in their mind where they're like, I'm not going to let anybody treat me bad. I'm not going to let anybody do this. So the person that comes in, they've created this standard where they think that they're upholding their self-value by equating it to this standard. But in actuality, what she's doing, what is being done is that self-esteem is actually low.
Hold on.
And so,
hold on. Who got the intercom in the back? Is that you? You got the intercom in the back? Somebody got the intercom going in the back.
Well, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go, finish up what you were saying.
But last point, because think about this. I kept hearing her say reciprocation, right? But in actuality, we don't really understand what we're saying until it's flipped. When we step into empathy and we flip the situation, if her treatment that she received was based on how she carried out her wifely duties, there'd be a fluctuation where she wouldn't be happy about it, right? Because we can't be consistent. Human behavior, we're not consistent. We can be intentional and try to be consistent, but in actuality, we can't be as consistent as we think we want to be. So, yes.
Okay, so, and then I'm gonna let Giselle go, right? When I asked her what kind of car she drives. She said Benz. I said if she bought her husband a Benz, and he was like, a Benz, like, this ain't my speed. I want a Ferrari. Her initial reaction was like, what?
What's wrong with that?
Right. And that's what I'm saying about the little ring. That's the same thing that a guy has. It's like, what do you mean? I'm giving you all of these other things that are really priceless, and you're questioning the one thing that you can actually put a dollar in.
But I think it's what you said. I would say this, based on my lived experience and expertise, a lot of women don't think like that. The perspective that you just gave, that's the first time that I heard that. In regards to, we don't think, a lot of us may not think. A man has given us all of these other things, right, that surpass the equivalent to that ring, right, that pass the value of the ring. A lot of us don't think like that. We're caught up in the razzle and dazzle and showing and fronting.
And it's the love, though, too. You guys are forgetting. And I don't know about these women being so materialistic, because to me, that's just the growth of love in you that you have for me, that you upgraded my ring. It shouldn't be no, oh, I did this so you can do that. That's not real love, honey. That's not true love.
I understand what you're saying, but to me, the day in, day out love that I give you, right? Because you can love through action and you can love through inaction. And I mean, if you're figuring that out, then book a session. But my point is that all of the love that you're getting day in and day out is like the sun, right? And the upgrading of your ring is like a big lighter. So if you are going to tell me that because I'm giving you the sun, but am I not also giving you the big lighter, that I'm going to get less of a wife, you should probably go kick boulders. Giselle, what's your
Yeah, I don't think it
What
should
up?
be never no
What up?
expectation like
I
that.
totally feel like anybody who's really basing the size of the diamond and all that stuff on whether or not they're going to get married don't know why the hell they get
Yeah.
married.
Yeah, that
You
should
know,
be an
because
expectation.
the point of the ring is just simply about the circle, which represents infinity. It's not about the diamond. If it's about the diamond, you're with the wrong woman.
Right. Right.
all right? Well, you
And
need.
if it's done, like I said, it's
And
love.
you're
It's
saying
just showing
about
love.
like upgrading it later or whatever the situation is. Like, for instance, like my sister and my brother-in-law, when they got married, he bought her a beautiful ring. You know, like, I mean, that's just who he is. I mean, but the ring isn't the most costly thing they own. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can afford to get, you know, whatever it is that you want to get your other half, then go ahead and do that. But it should not be
Exactly.
contingent on that cost that you go out there and spend.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it just don't make sense at all. Like, this, the circle is about infinity, about why we're getting married, and like you say, all these other things that come with those commitments. You know, like that's what it's supposed to be based on. Yes, it's nice that you can have a nice, pretty engagement ring or whatever. Great, but is the wedding about the engagement ring or your life together?
Love. Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly.
that goes back. I'm gonna make this last point, then I'm gonna jump off. But that goes back to how what she just said, how I view marriage, and then number two, how I value myself. It always starts with me first, how I value myself, because the bigger
And your
my
partner.
ring, the more that I value myself, right? So the ring is a reflection of how I see myself, right? Versus if I didn't have a ring at all, would I still love this person? Will we still be married? Would I still consider, marrying this person? And it's what you said, Chelsea, like based on everything else you're getting after you say, this is it, like this is the person I'm gonna be with for the rest of my life. A lot of us don't think like that. A lot of women, I will say that based on my experience of working with women, and I don't know if you all know, but I'm a marriage and family therapist, but a lot of women that I've dealt with in the past and that I've supported don't think like that.
I
And
think.
it has to deal with self value.
I think that
And
it.
you're right.
I think that it would be beneficial. So one of the things that I've been gifted with is the ability to invert thought, right? I can completely argue a perspective that I absolutely and unequivocally disagree with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And
I love
just
it.
God just when I was with the light, that's one of the things God gave me. Like, yo, you're gonna be able to argue whatever point. I think it would behoove a lot of women to begin to consider the perspective of the men that they are with and consider what these men are putting into a relationship and all of those good things. And then ask yourself, is the ring or the ring cost or the cost of the wedding and all of these other things in comparison to what he's actually doing and providing a reasonable comparative analysis? Because if you actually sit down and do it and find out what a man is putting forth, right? And I also think a lot of men and the good things we do get taken for granted because we're supposed to. Just because I'm
That
doing what
part.
I'm supposed to doesn't mean I should
That
get
part.
credit for it, right?
That part.
Give me some credit, right?
But
So that's just what I think. Go ahead.
but this is it, Chelsea. I will say this again, based on expertise and experience. A lot of men don't really know what they bring to the table, and they're scared to bring it up, saying what they do bring to the table because they don't want to lose their woman. They feel less than as well, right? That self esteem to the point where when they find a woman that is of a certain caliber, they're trying to empty out their bank account to be able to match what she thinks her value is, to the point where if they really understood what their value was, then they can have the conversation that you're saying.
Oh, so you're saying that a
That's
lot
just
of guys,
that's
a
just
lot of
another perspective.
okay, so you're saying I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Hold on one second. Let me ask this question. If it's any guys in the chat, I need you to request to come on so that I'm not up here advocating by myself. But what you're saying is that a lot of men either don't know or don't know how to articulate all the things that they're bringing to the table, and because of that, that's why those things are unknown to a lot of women.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, why? I mean, like, why is that even an issue? Like, if I'm with somebody who I'm
I thought I
trying
was
to,
tripping.
you're not. Like, if I'm with somebody who I'm supposed to be planning my life with, and I love them, they love me, and we on the up and up, why does that stuff? Why is that
Matter.
something that isn't commonly known between us? You know what I mean? Like, why
Yes.
don't we know
Yes.
that already?
Ah,
I will.
that's where I was
I
at.
will say. I will say this.
Ah, I
When
wanted
it
to ask
comes
y'all, is
to
y'all married
when it
for a
comes
second?
when it comes to the divorce rate, the question that you just asked, that's the reason why the divorce rate is so high. This ring
Well,
conversation.
yeah,
Are
I
This
you
think I get
ring
that
married,
part.
honey? I'm sorry. I just gotta ask. Are you married?
Yes, I was married. I was married. Yes.
You was married. Okay.
Yes, I was
Okay.
married. Yes. Yes, I was married.
Hold on, hold
Yeah,
on,
I
hold on.
think
I went through a
I
lot of.
think a lot of the issues are sometimes people are jumping into, I mean, like, obviously we're having the conversation. They're jumping into marriage for all of the wrong reasons. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
there it is.
You
There
know what I
you
mean?
go.
Sometimes people find themselves in a relationship because everybody else around them are telling them that that person's for them. When, it takes them 10 years to figure out that that person absolutely was not for them.
Yes.
So I mean, the divorce rate is going to be up when we're out here thinking that marriage is about some beautiful other person, like, eye thing, money thing, and not the heart and the mind and the soul. You know what I mean? So I mean, the reasoning, I think, I mean, or like, as I could see from, like, friends, family, whatever, like divorce and all that stuff, I find it comes about a lot because when people got together, they never really realized that you two are not marriage material.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, Unique, do you have anything before I let you slide off?
No, it was just I was just what made me come on is just I heard too much of you guys saying, oh, it's like it's almost kind of sounds like some of you guys are going in with expectation. When my man bought me my ring, I wasn't thinking nothing of nothing. When he got it, he proposed, I was thankful.
No, but
I'm not.
there's a difference, right? There's a difference in me as a man, or just a person buying you a gift out of the kindness of your heart. If a man wants to spend $5 million on a ring, that's fine. That's not the conversation
Yes.
that we're having, right? Because that's his choice. The same way if I always mess with Dr. Hawk, if Mr. Tom wants to go buy a Porsche with his own money, I advocate for that, right? My point is that you shouldn't get to dictate how much money I spend on a gift for you.
Yes, it should be love. It should
That's
just be,
right.
that's what I was saying.
That's
It should
right.
just be all love. Where's the
Right. And
expectation at?
yeah,
That's why I said it was the lady that was on here before. She put everybody on materialistic type of thing. I don't know what that is. If my man gives me something, I love it, and I love it to the T. And it's up to me, as much as I love him, to give him back what he needs to receive from even doing that. You
Okay.
understand? That's love. It shouldn't be no expectation. I was saying, even if the ring is a little bit bigger, that's nice. But I'm not going to calculate and see if it was $50,000 for it to be as worth as what y'all need it to be. No, I'm grateful that my man even wanted to give me a goddamn upgrade. Okay, I might give him a little dick suck too, more than
Okay.
what he,
So,
mhm.
he expected. But that's what I'm saying. It should never be expectation. It should always just be love, especially in marriage. Especially in marriage.
all right,
Amen.
Nick, I
But
appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna let you slide off.
All
Uh,
right.
and then
tell
hold on, let me see. Appreciate you. Um,
tell
Giselle, got anything in closing before we go?
Um, no, I'm just pretty much in agreement with what you're spitting. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, if it is about marriage, just know your partner and make sure that you and him or her are getting into this thing for the right reasons and not the wrong ones. Because if it's about the diamond, sweetie,
Okay.
nah.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm with you. I'm with you. I appreciate you coming on. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks for it, actually asking to come into the room. I appreciate you.
Bless.
All right, later. All right, Jay. You had something?
Oh, I was just gonna
You
say
got
when she was
me?
talking about. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, I was just gonna say when she was talking about actually, I don't know why she asked me was I married or not, which is relevant because I think that's the issue. People get so caught in their own perspectives and their own situations that they can't see other perspectives. They can't see or hear other thought processes. And so I always want people to know when I come on here, I'm speaking from a place of expertise and experience, but then we also have to understand that it's perspective, and we're human. We always have expectations.
Okay, so I'm gonna sit on your couch for a second, right?
Okay.
I'm a guy and I feel unappreciated in my house, even though I do a bunch of things. How can therapist or Coach Jay coach me or teach me how to present to my wife all of the things that I feel like I bring to the table?
I would say the first thing that you have to do is acknowledge those things for yourself. So what I would do is do an activity with you, and I would have you write down those values, the way that you see yourself. Because again, I can't show someone or explain to someone my value if I don't see it myself. And so being able to break this, so I do this when I teach people how to consult. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, did I freeze?
Nah, you
Oh,
here.
okay. So I do this one. Oh, okay. So I teach people this when I teach them how to consult. I have them write down a list of all the value that a client is getting if they're working with them, because that's how we equate or come up with the way that we price.
Say the last part again. I'm sorry.
You there, Kel?
Yeah, I'm here. Say the last part again. Nah, you hit. Oh, I think Coach Jay, I think I'm losing Coach Jay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, yeah. Let's see what's up. Jay, you still there? Coach Jesse,
What's going on?
what's happening?
Hey, I'm catching the end, so I don't know what was said.
It's all good. I poked the bed and ran head first into the lion's den because I ain't afraid or scared of any conflict or any confrontation. They pay me for this. Coach Jay, I'm gonna start off because you buffering, and then you're more than welcome to come back in. So hey, shift your camera a little bit, JC, since you're not just shift that joint a little bit. All right, cool. So whew, deep breathing.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a conversation about whether or not ring size, cost, and say carats actually matter. Does it matter to you?
It doesn't.
Why doesn't it?
So I grew up a Seventh-day Adventist, so in that faith, jewelry and materialistic things are not valued, and even married people, many don't wear their rings. They don't wear rings. I think what matters most is that you're honoring and committed to the relationship. Like, if we're not together, are you respectful of the relationship? I think I'm more concerned about that than whether or not I have a big carrot on my finger. I think the marriage itself is what is important to me.
Julie Bean,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I damn sure can't see you.
I have a question
For me?
for both of you, for everybody.
Okay, what's the question?
So I understand the lady that came on earlier, and she was talking about, she asked for the upgrade, etc. But my question is, if these men are reacting accordingly, isn't there a bigger issue than just what the lady was asking for and all of that? Because we can sit here and say that, she has a materialistic mindset and this and that, but there's a lot of women out here that think the way she does, and their demands are being met.
Yeah, I mean, I put it well, for those of us men who are not willing to capitulate to that, those men are the problem. The same way the loose women are the problem for the women who ain't trying to give it up too soon, right? Because I can tell you right now, the idea that you're going to come to me and 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 withhold whatever it is that you bring to the marriage because I say I'm not upgrading your ring is a problem. Well, it's going to be a problem for you because I'm not giving you what you want. Now, if that means I don't get what I want, we're just at an impasse and we're just going to have to figure out, who's keeping the house, kids, and the dog, right? But because there are men out here, right? Because there are men out here, and not all of these men are rich, right? Some of these men, and like she said, it's not about the amount of money you make. It's about status. Now, if I wanted to, Mr. Tom, if you're listening, I could go buy a Porsche, right? Knowing that driving around in that Porsche is going to give people the implication that I live a lifestyle that I currently don't. I could get women who really I can't afford based on the fact that I'm riding around in a Porsche. And my simple point is that just because you want something and just because I love you doesn't mean you're going to necessarily get it. And I've given you a ring. And on top of that, which is more important, I've given you me. I've given you my bloodshed, blood, sweat, and tears, put my life on the line. I'm a father. I'm changing poopy diapers. I'm cutting grass. I'm helping you around the house. And I'm paying the lion's share of the bills. So if the ring ain't big enough for you, I don't know what to tell you other than to go save your money for a new ring the same way I'm about to save this money for my Porsche. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I just I felt a little bad because I was like, people were saying stuff, but at the end of the day, somebody's accepted, what she's asking for, and I just think it's more issue about mindset versus just women or wives. Because, like you said, if your wife asks you for a bigger ring, you're gonna be like, no, or go get it yourself.
I mean, it depends. I'm not saying that I won't, but if I know that I would be so disappointed in my wife if I upgraded my wife's ring and then she became a better wife.
Yeah, I agree.
I would be like, well, hold on. Is that what we're doing here? We're having a transaction, like our contributions to the marriage are based on a transactional dollar amount,
Yeah.
right? Had I known that, I wouldn't have married you because my expectation for you is to be the best person and wife and mother possible, regardless of the size of your ring, right? You may want, I may want a new, okay, we talk about cars on here sometimes. I drive a 2015 Subaru Legacy that I bought with 20,000 miles on it, and I bought it for like $18,000-$19,000. Now, I'm not really a Porsche guy. I like Ferraris. Now, push come to shove, if I really absolutely unequivocally wanted to, I could find a way to get a Ferrari. I'm not doing that, right? And because I can't go get the Ferrari, and because my wife won't get the Ferrari, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go to my wife and say, well, maybe you need to start paying 30% of this mortgage. I'm not going to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because the thing is that, and I understand we live in a society where certain double standards are acceptable or just accepted, I should say, right? But within a marriage, I didn't get married based on some dollar amount or transactional value. I don't conduct myself that way. I'm a good father because I'm a good father. I'm a good husband because I'm a good husband. Right. Not because you just did something or because you bought me something. And on top of that, a ring doesn't even really have any functional value in society. If I lose my wedding ring today and never wear it again, you know what I'm still going to be?
Married.
I'm going to be a good father. I'm going to be a good police officer. I'm going to keep paying this mortgage. I'm going to keep taking care of my kids. I'm going to keep doing all the things that makes Chels. So the idea that symbolic thing deserves any value or from a transactional standpoint should change the way I conduct myself, I just don't buy that.
Right.
So that's just me. I know it's dudes out here, they live a different lifestyle. I don't have that perspective, but I grew up poor. And what I can tell you is I'm not going back to being poor so that you can begin to talk with your hands a little more than you did last week. That's
Right.
just now the comments.
Right.
Comments are rolling, but they were stuck on here. They said Chels get that girl an upgrade. She got the best. There ain't no upgrade for me. She got the unicorn. Unless you gonna take me, right? The only way she can upgrade is to take me, dead or alive, and put me on the ring. That's it. Jesse,
Yes.
imagine this.
Hmm.
You got a husband. He's a
Yeah.
good guy. So you say, you know what? I like my husband. I'm going to buy him a car because guys like cars.
Hmm.
And you come home with the 2023 Honda Accord Special Edition Touring Joint Panoramic Sunroof. Got the Eco Drive, the Sport Drive, the heated leather seats. It do the little thing in your back, keep your joint nice and tight and all loose and all that. And he says, well, I kind of wanted the Porsche. What would you say? What would you say to that?
I would say, baby, do we have Porsche money?
Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But just the fact that they're like, I ain't really want this Honda Accord. It's too small, and it didn't cost enough. So what I'm going to do is, since I asked you to buy me a car, and you didn't get the one that was the cost that I wanted, I'm not gonna change your brakes from now on. You gotta take them to Pep Boys.
Okay.
You cool with it?
Yeah, I'm so cool with it.
Julie, man, think about that.
Absolutely not. Like, I just don't understand how we treat each other has terms and conditions. Like, that does not
Right.
make sense to me. If I would know whether my partner wanted a Honda or not, first of all,
Exactly.
before buying the car, right? But even if I did buy him a Honda, he better smile and drive that thing until the wheels fall off, because it should not come with terms and he shouldn't behave differently, because that just sounds like somebody who's like a spoiled brat to me, like my kid. And and actually that has happened where like I bought my kid something and she was like, well, I wanted the pink one, and I was like, you little spoiled brat.
Thank you. That's my point. Like, if you threw your kid a birthday party and they were like, man, this birthday party's okay, but I wanted the Avengers bouncy house. Man, you better go on out there with that red, blue, and generic bouncy house and bounce like you are the Avengers. Now, how do you say her name? Mila or Mile says, communication. Have you ever asked your wife if she wanted an upgrade or how she would feel about it? No, I've never asked my wife if she wanted an upgrade or how she would feel about it. If my wife wanted an upgrade, I'd be open to the idea, but I wouldn't necessarily be too excited about it, because then that would make me feel like she doesn't appreciate the thing that I got for her when I had, my knuckles in the dirt. Because to me, it's an inanimate object. So the energy with which I put forth into getting the ring that she has means more to me, right, than the energy it would take now to upgrade the ring. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't be open to it. Yeah, Jesse.
Can I just add to the conversation? When you're talking about this upgrade and what your interpretation of it would mean if she requested one, do you guys remember being in kindergarten and what the seats were like that you sat in?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what the seats were like when you were in 6th grade?
Vaguely, yes.
They were very different from when you were in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that to say that sometimes life warrants a natural progression or an upgrade that you cannot go back to. So I'm just helping you to see like another side, and that it doesn't necessarily equate that she didn't appreciate your knuckles in the dirt. You know what I mean? It's just it's like a next level. You know what I mean?
I understand that. How would I put this? So to make a one-to-one comparison, if my wife lost or gained a lot of weight and her ring no longer fit the same way a sixth grader doesn't fit in the kindergarten seat, then it would be an absolute no-brainer, right? Because it doesn't fit anymore, right? But the idea that, I don't know, maybe as a man, right? Because women don't really carry the burden of protecting and providing for societies the way men do, right? So when I go out every day, right, and I put my life on the line for X amount of years, 30, 40, 50 years, in order to be able to provide you with all of the things that you need so that you don't have to go out here and do those things. You can sit in the house if you would like. If my wife wanted to, she doesn't have to work. She chooses to work, right? So when you come to me and you ask me for an upgraded ring, I'm naturally going to be like, what's wrong with the ring that I bought you? The same way if Julie bought her daughter a car and she came back 2 or 3 years later and said, well, the new one has a sunroof, she's going to wonder, is that sunroof worth the extra $15,000 that I'm going to spend on that car? Especially if when Julie bought her daughter the car, she was out there grinding to get the car. So I understand that growth happens, right? And I understand that our desires change and we want better things because, like I said, I want Mr. Tom to get a Porsche. I'm sure Mr. Tom drives a nice car, whatever it is. I understand that. And I give Dr. Hulk pushback, but I can understand why Dr. Hulk is like, no. You know why? Because you're going to do the same thing with the Porsche that you do with the car you drive now, which is wake up in the morning and go to work. And I don't think that makes sense considering the amount of money, energy, time, and effort that has to go into this new thing. But I do see your point. Oh, he has a Ford F-150. Go ahead, Julie B.
I would add to that. Are we upgrading? What else are we upgrading? Right? Like, the way the marriage started clearly is not where it's at right now because it's everything progresses. But are we drowning in debt and you want an upgraded ring? Like, it has to make sense.
Then. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Julie, we losing you. Is she buffering on your end, Jesse?
Yeah, she's slowing up her speed.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep talking.
Oh, so no,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like, married, like all of those factors are important.
Julie,
did she say something?
I can
you still
hear
there,
you.
Julie?
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Jesse, what you about to say?
Yeah, can you repeat? I was gonna say, Julie, can you repeat what you said? Because I didn't catch the last part.
The last part that I was just saying is like, how is your lifestyle now compared to when you first got married? Are you being responsible and, is your money right? Or are you drowning in debt and you just want a bigger ring because your coworkers have bigger rings? Like, to me, all of that has to make sense. Are you putting your kids through college right now? Or, all of that factors in. So I get what you're saying. Like, when you were in kindergarten, you didn't sit in the same chair. But times also has changed. The inflation rate is out of this world. Like, can't get nothing but $20 anymore.
Right.
Right.
For sure.
Which means that and remember, I don't have an issue with people spending their money on whatever it is they want to spend their money on. Mm-hmm. I take issue with someone dictating the amount of money that I have to spend on a gift for them.
Right.
And that exchange being transactional, or the idea that, okay, I tell you what, if I were to get my wife an upgraded ring and she started doing stuff around the house that she had never done before, or we're gonna have a problem, because that means that your effort has been lacking based on a material thing. And I'm not buying that. That's not cool to me, because I don't operate that way, right? In any way, shape, or fashion.
But how would you be able to know that that was the determining factor? What if she, I don't know, I just feel like there's so many variables that could reason her added effort. It could be her diet change. She has more energy. You know, the evolution of her love for you has evolved and is deeper, you know?
Right.
Separate and apart from the ring being upgraded.
Right, but buying, okay, so upgrading a ring is a bookmark, right? And if actions change soon after a bookmark, it makes sense that I go back to the bookmark and assume, at least from, obviously we're gonna, Coach Jay, we're gonna have the conversation. But before we have the conversation, it's going to be natural for me to assume that this change in her actions around the house or within the marriage are based on the bookmark, not on the idea that she just woke up one morning and wanted to be a better wife, right? Because the bookmark is the last major change that occurred.
But why can't it be that?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm saying that before we have the conversation, that would naturally be my assumption, right?
Right, but you know what assumptions do? They make an ass out of you and me. So
No, that's why I would have the conversation. But you asked me, why would I assume that? Because everything else would be status quo at that point, right?
okay.
If everything else is status quo, and she's doing everything she normally does, and then I upgrade the ring, and then the day after I upgrade the ring, the house is shinier and cleaner, and I'm getting more action and all of this and all of that. I'll be like, well, damn, like, hold on, this based? What I'm saying is that's going to be my question: is this based on the ring, or did you just wake up feeling this way? Because that matters, right?
But I don't know. Wouldn't you want? I don't know. I was engaged once before, and it's how is it any different, that scenario, having an upgraded ring versus it being your partner's birthday and you guys having adult time that evening? It's a little bit more spicier. Or Valentine's Day. Like, how is it separate and apart? Like, it's you showing appreciation.
Yeah,
Now,
but that's
if
a day.
that
That's a day, right? Like, we all accept that we have special days, right?
okay, I was responding to you saying, and her having the house shinier the very next day. Like, what's wrong with that? If
No,
it's just the very next day.
I'm talking about, but I'm talking about, okay, because Chanel said, this is what Chanel said. Chanel said that she would be better wife to the guy who bought $100,000 ring in comparison to the guy that bought the $1,000 ring.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Right? Okay, so we talking, we may be talking past each other. When I say the next, I'm not saying it's just that one day. Like, obviously, my birthday's Sunday, so the house is probably gonna look better than it normally does, right?
Happy early birthday.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll be 40. My wife should go to the Porsche dealership and buy a Porsche. And I'll tell you what I'll do. Once she buys me the Porsche, I'll take care of the kids more, right? I'll cut the grass more. I'll vacuum the floor more. I will pay the portion of the small portion of the bills that she pays, right? When I can already do that, right? But your argument would be, well, if you could do it anyway, why aren't you doing it? Why weren't you just being the best person you could be in the first place?
Right. But I mean, that is kind of like this whole conversation about the ring. It's really shining a light on the way we do relationship.
And that is
right. So much of relationships are very transactional, and it's I will love you until, you know, XYZ. and it's like very conditional. There is a condition in which I will love you, and if you fall short of that condition, my love for you will be taken away. And so, go ahead.
Nah, go ahead, finish. I'm just letting you know I got something to add. I'm not even pushing back, just to add to that.
Right. And so I think that's the bigger question. And it's like,
Yes.
what has gone on in our world to make that be what is valued?
Normal.
What exactly? What is moral? What sits at our core? And it's like, even in business, the people who are the most successful is they have understood how to put relationship above the transaction that's happening. Like, it's the relationship is at the foundation of everything. Before, yeah, you're doing business, but it can't feel like business. Like when you walk into a car dealership, you want to buy a car, but you don't want to be sold to. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I think so. When I watch the replay, I'll probably hit you up with a DM and be like, okay, I got your point.
Okay.
As far as the transactional thing, I don't know if y'all have ever heard the Chris Rock bit where he says, women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. Men are loved with the contingency that he can provide something, right? So as a man, and most men, from a material standpoint, right? Strictly material. I think everyone's looking for something. No one's just like, hey, you're pretty, come here, right? But from a material or monetary standpoint, men, and I hate this term, but real men aren't looking for some financial gain or transactional monetary exchange between themselves and someone that they're thinking about being their wives. I think that's more hypergamy, something that men do. It's something that women do, right? Men don't look at a woman and say, hey, I'm going to see how much money I can get out of her, or she has to make a certain amount of money. That's not what men do, right? Go ahead, Jesse.
I just want to say, I don't think that we should separate the genders, because even though it doesn't look the same, men are still doing it as well. They
But
are conditioning and transactioning how they love their spouse. It could be something as simple as, when I met my wife, her hair was super long. Let her cut it. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe I might have wandering eyes. Like, I don't think it should just be like, let's look at the condition, not the example.
yeah,
But
but
I think Chelsea is talking more about finances.
I'm talking about
money.
the financial aspect of it. I'm not, and that's why I said men are transactional too, right? But
Right. That's all I was adding to the conversation, is like, they're still very transactional. Even if they're not looking to be with a woman for her money, there could be other things that they're looking conditionally to that woman for. That's all I was adding.
yeah, but that's why I said men are transactional too. It's just that we're not transactional based on money, but money is a trigger, right? It's a very powerful idea more than anything, right? And so what you were saying to Julie is based on the idea that it's transactional. What I'm saying is that because, like, I can't place a dollar value on I can't place a cognitive value on you cutting your hair. It's just a matter of if I like it that way or not, right? But you can place an actual dollar amount on the value I bring to you based on the amount of money I make, right? So if I make 40,000, you might be like, eh. If I make 80,000, you may be like, hey, what's happening? And so it's more quantifiable from the woman to the man as opposed to the man to the woman. Hello, how you doing? I can't hear you. Unmute your mic.
How are you? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
How you say your name?
My real name is Carolina. That's just my fake book, my Facebook and Instagram incognito. Don't find me. Name.
Okay, Catalina.
Hi, best friend. Hi, best friend. How are you?
Friend.
Go, best friend. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. Okay, Catalina.
So this is my question about what you were saying before. So I totally agree that it shouldn't be conditional. Like, I'm going to be a bitch and I'm going to be standoffish and I'm going to be cold to you until you get me a ring, and then I'm going to be nice to you, right? But saying that gifts is your love language, which is not mine, but saying that gifts was your love language, and now you got me this amazing gift, so it makes me feel loved and wanted and desired, and so I feel more loving towards you, then why would that be wrong that now all of a sudden you bought me a ring and now all of a sudden, like, I want to give you more of your love language, or I know you like the house clean, so I'm cleaning the house more, or I know, like, you know, there are things that you like and I'm trying to cater to you the way I felt catered to.
If I hope I'm understanding your question correctly, but because if it was your intention to be the best possible wife you could be, you should have been doing those things and questioning yourself as a husband. Like, I walked into therapy one day with my wife and I said, okay, I would like to know how I can be a better husband, right? And I didn't do that because my wife did something. I didn't do that because my wife gave me, you know, more intimacy or physical touch because that's my love language. I did that because that's my responsibility as a husband and a father, to be the best husband and father that I can possibly be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, to your point, if I so chose and took it upon myself to upgrade,
right? Yes, that's what I mean.
Then I don't have a problem necessarily with that per se. But the conversation that we're having is more so about you as a wife requesting something of me. I want you to upgrade my ring. And then when I upgrade your ring,
right,
I get better value.
No, that's totally different. So I'm with you on that part, but I'm just not with you on the, like, you would be upset if now your wife was like being nicer to you, because yes, we should always try to be our best selves, but like, don't you sometimes, you know, when someone all of a sudden is like extra sweet or extra loving, it can sometimes bring out extra sweet and extra loving from you. Like, we're not, you know, robots, so we're not like the ideal, most loving, most perfect people every day. But sometimes in a relationship, when you get that reminder, like, you know, this person is really making an effort for me, like, this person really wants to show me more, I know he loves me, I know he's my husband, I know he's there for me, but he did this extra thing to be extra loving. And so, you know, like, when you positive, the positive grows, right? So he's positive to you, so you're more positive to him, so he's more positive to you. And I'm just talking more about like that cycle.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that cycle. But if you are withholding,
right,
if you're and that's the argument basically that the young lady made, which was that I would be a better wife to the guy who bought the more expensive ring. That means the way in which you conduct yourself as a wife is contingent upon a dollar amount, right? Yeah. And that's a problem, right? Not because I did something special for you and now we're in this cycle of positivity. That's natural, right? Like I start a show, Jesse comes on, Jesse says something good, I say something good back, Julie comes on, and then we have this symbiotic thing where all four of us are sitting here having a conversation. But if Jesse came to me and says, Chels, well, you know, I can only come on your show and contribute if you pay me $100, I'm going to be like, Jesse, you can kick rocks. Right? That's just what it is. And if Jesse said to me, well, if you pay me $100, I'll give you a better version of myself on your show, I'm going to be like, no, why don't you just give me the best version? Because we're friends. Because I would, you know why? Because I would do that for you. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, if me and Jesse are making, if we really, really like breaking bread, then we're going to have a conversation like, hey, yo, let's get this money. Let's get to this money. Let's get to this money. Let's get to this money. Let's get, hey. But what I'm saying is that if you as a spouse, husband or wife, know that you can conduct yourself more better in the relationship, just do it. Whether or not you're getting the upgrade or not. That's all I was saying. I'm not against anything you're saying at all, because I know, like, okay, I bought a house before I got married, right? My wife wanted a bigger house, right? Of course, when I got the bigger house, you know, my wife was happy, right? And that's cool. And now, just like everything else, you end up leveling off. And sometimes I get on my wife's nerves and sometimes I don't, right? And it's just the norm. It's the norm, right? But if my wife were to become some super dope wife after I bought the house, I'm like, well, you wasn't cleaning my little house the way you at first. That joint was junky. That's kind of messed up in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. Who just left off? Oh, Julie Bean left?
Julie Bean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
just like she was driving.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Julie Bean, she's always here for me. So if anybody else wants to come on, let me know, because I've been on here for 2 hours and this thing gets long when I try to extract the video. So Catalina, since thank you, Dr. Hulk. When this thing blows up, I'm gonna buy Mr. Tom a Porsche as a thank you gift for letting you contribute to the show. Catalina, that's how you say it, right? In English.
Carolina. It's
Carolina. Carolina. Hold on, let's get Tyrell in here before we roll. But before I let you go, is there anything you would like to add to the conversation or in closing?
I did really agree with just like resonated for me when you were saying like as you grow and you mature, like you might really really love that first ring that somebody bought you when y'all first started, but now you had this, you have a nicer house and you have clothes and you have a nice car, and if it's not an issue and if there's not other than you have.
Tyrell, you messing up my audio, man.
Oh, my bad.
What you say? If Carolina
together.
If it's not an issue, go back to if it's not an issue.
If money's not an issue, right? I'm not saying like, put another mortgage on the house to buy me a ring, right? But if we started small together, right? And now we're building and we're building in every direction. We're building in our careers. We're building in our house. We're building in our cars. And now all of a sudden, we have the money and you have the money. Why not build in my ring? Like why? I haven't been married now for that long, but if I've been married with you for 20 years and we're in a totally different financial situation, also, why would I walk around still? So if I have an emotional attachment to this ring, no, baby, I love this ring, right? I love this ring. It reminds me of how we started. It means so much to me. If you got me a bigger one, like I wouldn't even like it because it wouldn't mean anything to me. Then that's one thing, right? But if I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having another ring. Sure, why not? If we can do it, let me know. Surprise me. Give me a 20th anniversary upgrade, or I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. And I think it's just a part of that evolution. And it's not for everybody. So I think it's important you ask, you ask your partner, would you like this? Would that be something you want, or would you not?
I'm with you. I don't have any pushback for that. But if you're going to become wife on 1,000 after that, I'm going to be like, where was she at before? And why were you withholding her from me? Because I could have had an even better version of you, and I had to pay to get a better version of you, and I don't like that.
No, I'm with that too.
So I appreciate you coming on. I guess we'll see you tomorrow at 5:30. Julie said you're a doctor. You're a doctor? Huh? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I turned the mic off. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? So what? So I got Dr. Hulk. I got Dr. J. I got Dr. E. What do I call you? Doctor who?
K.
Dr.
K.
Dr. K.
But I'm like a pediatric doctor. I'm not like a.
Man, I got a high school diploma. If you're a doctor, you're a doctor. So I appreciate you, Dr. K. We got a new doctor in the fold. So we appreciate you, and we're gonna let you slide off, and we'll see you tomorrow at 30.
Bye.
All right, peace out. So I got all kinds of doctor friends. See, Jesse, this is how I know that even though I'm a high school graduate with 1 semester of college, I'm doing a really good job because I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who are like super duper educated and have written books like you, right? And Mr. Tyrell, who is heavy who's like a leader in the church. So I'm doing a good thing. Tyrell, what's up, man? What you got before we slide? Actually, Jesse, what you got before we slide off?
Question for you?
Sure. Oh God, Jesus Christ. What do you want, Jesse?
So my question for you is, what are your thoughts on changing within a marriage? Like, when is it, in what context does it feel the most organic?
Mm-hmm.
And are there any examples in which it would pose an issue?
I think I'm big on organic growth. I'm big on conscious growth. right? I'm a person who's constantly seeking to evolve intently, right? And I'm attentive to how I am evolving unintently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I prefer a natural evolution as opposed to a financial based transactional evolution. If I'm answering the question within the context of the conversation that we're having, right? So I hope that answers the question. But because I'm someone who is always reading a new book, and like I thought about this topic when I saw the reel, I went through in my mind all of the reasons why and what that means and why would this happen, and I thought about all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say naturally organic, intentional or unintentional, either which way, as long as you are aware of it. But if we're going to evolve based on, if I'm going to be a better husband based on some financial transaction that my wife does, then I would question myself about why I wasn't being that person to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Done.
Cool. Well, I hope that answers your question, Jesse. I'll see you tomorrow at 5:32. Jesse, you want to do a topic? What's your topic? Shoot me a topic in the DM.
Okay.
All right, cool. We'll holler.
Bye.
Peace out. Oh, hold on. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Tyrell.
What's going on?
So we're going to end the show with Mars. Okay? Does the ring size and cost in carats, from your perspective, a guy's perspective, does it matter?
No, I'm a symbolism person, so it's based off of what's the intent behind the ring. Okay, for example, me and my fiance, we went with a smaller. We went with the band because of her line of work. She cannot wear a rock like I would want to give her. Like if we were really talking what she wanted a 2.5 cushion cut, that solitaire diamond. Easy 30 grand without like 20, between 20 and 30 grand without really hesitating. Now it doesn't make sense for me to buy that right now, and she can't wear it except for once every few months when we go out. It just doesn't make sense, especially with us deciding to move across country. Why would I put $20,000 on your hand when we're moving from the East Coast to the West Coast?
Okay, so I'm with you. I agree with you. I have no pushback for you. I will ask you this though. Well, are you going to eventually you're going to get the ring she wants, right?
Oh, of course. That's not even the question.
Okay, cool. I like that. And you're okay with getting the ring?
Oh, if our lifestyle was different now, she would have the ring.
Cool. I like that. I got you. You're a good man. So let me ask you this. Imagine that you were going to propose to her and you bought her a ring that was $5,000. And she says to you, you know, I would love to marry you. And I want to say yes. But I want a $30,000 ring.
So
what is your response to that?
I have a couple of questions first. The first one is does our lifestyle support a $30,000 ring? Are we making enough for you to wear $30,000 on your hand, or am I going to put $30,000 on your hand and miss our car note, our mortgage payment, your student loan paybacks, my student loan paybacks, and all this other stuff? Because if we're starving for a look, I don't want it.
Okay, so let's say you could afford the $30,000 ring, but you bought the $5,000 for whatever reason you didn't know, right? You didn't know. You woke up one morning and you was like, you know what, I'm gonna propose to this lady, right? And you don't know what type of ring she wants. And I understand people are gonna say, well, you should know what your spouse wants. You guys should have a conversation. But in my opinion, the sweetest proposal is the one that occurs spontaneously, not the one that's planned. But that's just my opinion because it dawns on you. The light of God shines down on you. It says, that's your wife. And that ring ain't got nothing to do with it. But that's just my perspective. But you, being the ambitious guy that you are, I'm going to go get her a ring. I'm going to propose next week when we go visit her parents because we're going to visit her parents. And I'm going to propose in front of all her folks. And you get the $5,000 ring because you like it. This is the ring that you think is really nice for her, and it looks really nice and shiny. And you propose to her, and she's like, it's not you. And I really want to marry you, but I can't marry you unless you give me the $30,000 ring.
It looks like we ain't getting married.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Now, if you have anything else on the topic that you would like to add, subtract, or ask me, since I've been on the hot seat today, this is your moment.
I guess the question would be, are you looking for the person's intentions, or are you looking just for the person's material? Because if you can't marry the person because the ring is 5,000 instead of 30,000, whether they can afford it or not, my real question is, what is your intention behind being with this person? So, with that question being asked, or with that statement being made, my question to you is, do you stay in a relationship where you're unsure about the person's intention?
Say it again.
Would you stay in a relationship when you're unsure about the other person's intentions?
No. If I were at the point where I were ready to get married and I were unsure about this person's intention, and I was unsure about this person's intentions, obviously there's going to be a conversation for me to try and better understand their intentions. But if through dialogue I'm still a little blurry on exactly what their intentions are, then I'm cutting bait. Because I should know what your intentions are if we're at the point when, or if I'm at a point when I'm ready to get married. Right? Because it may be a little different for men, because I think men get married. Men marry who they're into when they're prepared to get married, if that makes sense. Like, men reach a point where they become husbands, even if they're not married yet. And whoever the woman is that they're into at that time, she's the beneficiary of him walking into that moment. So now I just got to make sure your intentions are straight. I think women more so they want a particular guy.
I agree and I disagree all at the same time. Or at least for how I see, you should go into wanting to be married.
Mm-hmm.
The statement, and I know I'm going to get heat, you can't go into a house.
I can't hear you.
So the statement, so I'm going to get heat for this statement. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. So if she's not ready to be a wife, you can't put a ring on it and now she magically changed. Just like you can't ask a man to marry you and expect him to magically change. The man has to be ready to be a husband. The woman has to be ready to be a wife.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
So
what I'm saying is, let's make sure that you understand what I'm saying. First of all, I'm not going to be in a relationship with a hoe that I'm trying to turn into a housewife. I'm going to be in a relationship with someone that I perceive to be someone who is, right, or could be a wife, right? So if at the point when, because what men have to do is, we have to go out into the world and conquer and subdue and accomplish things before we feel like we're ready to take care of another person.
Correct.
Right? Okay, that's fair. And what I'm saying is as a man, when you've reached that point and you say you could not have a girlfriend at all, but you can know within yourself, like, yo, I'm ready for marriage. I'm ready for a wife. I'm ready for a family. And so, but if you happen to be with someone, I would assume you're with that person because they fit your ideology of close enough of what you think a wife should be. So I say that to say it's not a matter of looking at it like, oh, I'm ready to get married, but I'm hanging out with these hoes.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Sometimes you're looking for the wife, but you're still doing other things. Like coming from a background where I wasn't always saved. When I knew I was ready to be in a relationship, a serious relationship, and I wanted to be married, but there was a period of time when I was doing other stuff that where my mind was saying, okay, I want to be a husband, or let me put it like this: my heart said I was ready to be a husband, but my mind was doing non-husband stuff.
Then that means you weren't ready.
Exactly. So for you to say that a woman, or not just say woman, but to say that we're going into it automatically knowing, I don't think that that's quite fair, because you can go both ways and say
the intentions. Hold on, because I don't want you to keep. I want to make sure I understand. You said it knowing what the intentions.
Yes, and knowing the intentions behind it, because I may and this is speaking for both men and female side. I may want to be married, but my mindset and my heart aren't aligned in what I want.
Right, then you're not ready to be married.
Exactly. But this is where I'm saying that you have to be careful between the two. But I have to hop off because I'm at a showing and my client is calling me.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Sell that house so you can get your $150,000. All right, brother. So today's conversation has been great. My man Tyrell just dropped off. Does ring size and cost and carats matter? To some people they do. To some people they don't. To some people they're transactional. To others they're just symbolic of the infinite love that one person may have for another. Either which way, today's conversation has been great. I'm going to love watching the replay of this one on YouTube. Make sure y'all look me up on YouTube. Marchello Bradley, IamChellsX, or Mars Mindset. If anybody else has something to contribute to the conversation, now is your moment. Because if not, I'm about to sign off and enjoy the rest of my week off for my birthday. So be good, be safe, be blessed, hug your loved ones. And if you need a good life coach, hit me up. I can help you take your power back. Peace.